Is a massive storm cycle about to hit you? Weather Update American Cities number 145. Welcome back, everyone. Today is Monday, February 16th, 2026, and we are officially moving through the 47th day of the year. If you have been looking at the maps lately, you know we have some big-time storms on the way that are stretching all the way from the west coast of California to the Ohio Valley and eventually making their way toward the east coast. We are tracking several significant threats that could impact your week. So let's dive right into the details of what is coming now. Let's start things off in the Ohio Valley because we have a very rare day 4 severe weather risk developing out here. When you see the experts highlight portions of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Kentucky, and Tennessee this early, you know it is time to pay attention. If you are living in Clarksville, Lexington, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, or St. Louis, you are right in the bullseye. Even folks in Poplar Bluff, Louisville, and Evansville need to be ready for storms between Thursday and Friday. We've all been enjoying this bit of a false spring lately, haven't we? That unseasonable warmth has been a nice break from the winter chill, but as the old saying goes, there is always a price to pay for that kind of luxury. In this case, the price is going to be a massive surge of Gulf moisture making its way up into the heart of the country. When that humidity starts climbing, it sets the stage for some potentially dangerous and very strong storms that we need to keep a close eye on tonight. It's actually a pretty big deal when the Storm Prediction Center puts out a Day 4 outlook like this. It means they are seeing high confidence in the data, so we aren't just sitting around waiting to see what happens. We are ringing the alarm bells right now to give you a head start. We are expecting some intense activity in this general vicinity as we transition from Thursday into Friday. Some of these storms could be more than just heavy rain. They might actually pack a real tornado threat. While we talk about that false spring, let's take a look at the temperatures for tomorrow. My goodness, just look at these numbers! By 4 p.m. tomorrow, we're looking at nearly 80 degrees in Dallas and a staggering 84 degrees in San Antonio. Even further north, Lincoln is hitting 68, while Sioux Falls is seeing 64 degrees. We're already feeling that warm breath of air over in Nashville, and all the way up to Columbus, Ohio. It's 51 degrees. That is incredibly warm for the middle of February. But wait, it actually gets even warmer the next day. Let's move our focus into Wednesday. I like to call this the day before the day, because it's the calm before the storm system really takes hold. High temperatures are going to be soaring into the 60s in Chicago. We're seeing 67 over in Springfield and more 60s in Columbus. This warmth is stretching everywhere from Washington, D.C. down to Raleigh, Columbia, Jacksonville, Atlanta, Montgomery, New Orleans, Houston, and all across Arkansas. All of this heat is basically acting as the high-octane fuel for the storm system that's scheduled to sweep through on Thursday. Now, you might be wondering why this is all happening so suddenly. Well, the answer lies in that crashing cold front moving in from the north. Boom! A huge blast of frigid air is going to come diving down, effectively swatting all that warmth and moisture right out of the way. That violent collision of air masses is what leads directly to these severe thunderstorms. Let's take a closer look at the dew points we are expecting on Thursday, because the contrast is wild. Look at this massive divide. We could see a 59-degree dew point in Louisville at 10 p.m. on Thursday, but just a few miles to the west in St. Louis, it drops to 31 degrees. That is literally half the moisture in the air. That sharp division line is exactly where the storms are going to ignite. When cool, dry air pushes against warm, moist air, it creates lift, and that means thunderstorms today. For this time of year, this is an incredibly robust setup. It is not very often that you see a 55-degree dew point way up in Indianapolis during the month of February. Because of that, the latest RRFS model has painted a very interesting and somewhat concerning scenario on the future radar. It's showing a sharp arc of supercells forming just east of St. Louis and then racing into the Indiana and Kentucky area. There's even a chance that these storms could push their way deep into central Ohio. If this specific scenario plays out, our tornado threat is going to be significantly higher. We'd be looking at individual supercells that are able to take full advantage of the convective available potential, energy, and all that wind shear in the atmosphere. When you have these isolated cells instead of a solid line, they can really get spinning. I definitely think a couple of tornadoes are going to be on the table if this setup holds together, so we need to be ready for some serious rotation. So, to recap that part, we're tracking a massive surge of Gulf moisture with dew points hitting the 60s all the way into Indiana, which is super rare for February. Then we have this strengthening low-pressure system moving quickly through the Great Lakes, creating the wind shear needed to spin these storms. When these supercells get going, they won't just be a straight line of rain. They'll have a lot of spin, and that is a major problem for anyone living directly in their potential path today. If you live in this corridor, Thursday is absolutely the day to be weather aware. Make sure you have a reliable way to get warnings, especially something that will wake you up in the middle of the night if necessary. This system is extremely dynamic. Severe weather in February can be particularly dangerous because, let's be honest, people aren't usually expecting tornadoes now like they are in May. We tend to let our guard down in the winter. But this year, nature has some different plans. Now, let's zoom out and look at the broader scale of this system. Before the thunderstorms even start, we're actually going to deal with a blizzard up in North Dakota and Minnesota starting tonight and lasting through Wednesday. We are talking about very strong winds and heavy, blowing snow around Grand Forks, Fargo, and over towards Duluth. Blizzard warnings are already being issued. It might not be the deepest snow ever recorded, but the wind is going to make it a very impactful event soon. This storm is also going to take a swipe at the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and southern parts of Ontario. As for the Northeast, it's going to be more of a hit-or-miss situation. When that big surge of warm air meets the cold front, we get all this convection that eventually just kind of fizzles out. That's why the impact looks a bit lower for upstate New York and southern New England. I don't see this as a massive snowstorm for those areas, but the northern plains will surely feel it today. Just to give you an idea of the totals, we might see a few spots around Grand Forks getting more than 8 inches of snow. Duluth could even see closer to a foot because of some added lake enhancement. But down in the Northeast, we are mostly looking at a general 1 to 3 inches of snow. It's nothing crazy, especially compared to what's happening in the mountains of California. My goodness, they are getting an absolute boatload of snow out west, and that system is just getting started now. What's really wild about this West Coast system is the severe weather aspect. There have already been multiple severe thunderstorm warnings for Los Angeles with tornado possible tags. That threat is going to continue through today and even into tomorrow, potentially reaching up towards San Francisco and Sacramento. We are seeing these little individual cells coming in off the Pacific Ocean, and they have the ability to rotate. So yes, we are actually talking about a tornado threat in Cali. While rain is a main concern, we're also watching for waterspouts along the coast. However, the real travel nightmare is going to be the snow. We are seeing snow levels dropping as low as 1,500 feet. This isn't just a mountain peak event for folks living above 6,000 feet anymore. When you get significant snow at 1,500 feet, it puts major travel arteries like the I-5 Grapevine at serious risk. If you have plans to drive through the passes, you need to check the conditions right this second. The Sierra Nevada is simply getting hammered. We are talking about feet of snow piling up on top of what has already fallen. The number 8 feet keeps being mentioned in the models, and that is just plumb wild. This is a classic 1-2 punch with 2 very potent systems coming in back to back. It's essentially the snow Super Bowl for the California mountains. It'll also be impactful for Oregon, Washington, Utah, and Arizona, bringing a mix of mountain snow and some valley rain today. Looking even further into the future, we have another storm system on the horizon. You can see that continuous plunge of moisture hitting the West Coast. Our Thursday-Friday severe weather maker will eventually move toward the East Coast, possibly adding a small snow problem for Boston while bringing rain to New York City and Philly. Now watch what happens after that. The GFS model is showing a potential nor'easter forming around February 22nd. It's what we call eye candy in the weather. Now, is this nor'easter actually going to happen? Probably not. The bigger story is the heartland warmth across Dallas and Nebraska. But don't get comfortable. I still believe this is a false spring, and by early March we could see a transition to big snow. That's all the weather talk I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, slap a like on it, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. I am heading out for now, so stay safe and goodbye.